Hello everybody. In today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. Today I'm going to be adding on to my display case that you can see here. I want to put in another slot full of things to display here, and for this I'm going to be using some armies that I've painted up, so you can actually see them here on the channel. I'm going to be doing the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures that I have right here. So I want to give them all a nice home to stay in from now on, since I now have a display case. So having somewhere for them to stay permanently is going to be really nice, and I think it's going to be an awesome little backdrop here for when I'm talking to you like this. So let's get into the video of me preparing these minis to go into their forever home. So as I was taking these miniatures out to have a look over them as I was preparing them to go into the display case, I realized that I haven't based any of these miniatures, so I'm going to make this video basically about basing up these miniatures, getting ready for the display case, and in the end I'll have nice shots of them there placed in the display case for where their sort of basically forever home is going to be. And I'm going to discuss sort of how I'm going to come up with sort of a basing scheme for an army, and telling you about ways that you can come up with some basing schemes for your army to make them look nice and cohesive. Okay, so what I've done is I've pulled out a few miniatures to the side. In this case I have pulled out the entirety of the Stark army, and what I'm doing is I'm placing glue on the bottom, specifically Mod Podge here. So usually when I'm doing basing I do super glue just because of speed, and then place quickly on the base level of sand or grout, whatever I'm going to use as the base layer of the ground. But since I've got so many models here to base up all at once, I sort of need to assembly line the process a bit, and by that what I'm doing is I am placing Mod Podge here, which is a little bit slower drying time, but it's faster than PVA glue because I still want to keep a reasonable speed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them in sort of batches of like say 10 or 12, where I pick out about 10 or 12 minis, put glue on the base, and then I come in and dip them all into my basic material. And in this case for me it's just some nice sand that I have here, and that's going to be the good solid base for a nice ground texture. And this is of course just for going for straight speed and efficiency. And there we have all of our Stark miniatures, all on the first level of our basing, complete with all the sand is all on there nice and dry. So you can see there that you can get through these pretty quickly if you assembly line the process. So then when I got to painting up the second half of the army box, which is the Lannisters here, I decided that I wanted to quickly see and compare what the speed was like, because even though I was assembly line placing on the glue, then waiting until I'd done about 10 or 12 of them, then dipping them into the sand, it was still taking quite a long time to get through each one of these. So I was wondering if I could come in, since I'm using the sort of base material for the base part of our basing scheme that I've got here is the same for both of these. What I did is instead this time around I came straight on with the glue and then immediately dumped them into the sand, sprinkling over it nicely, tapping it off, and then placing it up over to the side, all one by one, one after the other, rather than trying to pace up about 10 or so. Now the Lannisters themselves are a little bit harder because they've got a lot more ornamentation, and since we've got pikemen and that, a lot of things that makes them a little bit harder to grab onto. So this was a good test and for me, like an experiment here, where I found out that the time worked out to roughly the same doing them up, but I think that was more due to the cause of the Lannisters having a lot more things poking out on them, whereas the Starks were a lot simpler and they were nice and easy to grab because all their weapons were short, whereas this one got a variety of different lengths of weapons and the poses in there. And their feet placement as well was a big thing that was slowing me down on the Lannisters a little bit, as they had like skirts and little parts around that made it a little bit harder to get the glue around. So for these miniatures I definitely recommend doing one at a time and then dumping them in quickly. Really does save that little bit more time. But if you've got nice, easy to get at to feet area, or the entire base in general, like you do with the Starks, you're probably better off doing them about 10 or 12 at a time, and it keeps it nice and efficient. And this is the complete Lannister side of the starter set army, complete on the first staging of our basing with all of our sand texture on our bases applied. Okay, so since we've got our Lannisters already out, what I'm going to do is I am going to start with doing the basing scheme for the Lannisters here. And for this, I'm making a nice, quick, fast, but nice and eye-catching and effective basing scheme. And I'm using a contrast paint to do this. And this is probably quite expensive, however I'm using this over a lot of miniatures here, and I think it's worth it in terms of the time it's saving me and the steps it's saving me as well, because I'm not actually priming any of these. I'm placing the contrast paint right over top of the raw sand that I got here. One thing I did do that I actually forgot to show you on camera here, so definitely tell you about it now, is that when you are planning a basing scheme for an army, I think it's crucial to test out a mini, like just pick out one of your random soldiers that you're going to use here, or even a couple of them, and just test what you want as your basing scheme. Just over to the side of me, you can't unfortunately see on camera, is I had one of them, I had two of them I believe, already done up next to the side to see how I wanted the basing scheme to come out and whether the color was going to work well with these minis or not. So I highly recommending in a large army picking out just a nice infantry model, just a regular model, not one of your good character models or your leaders, and using that as a test subject for the entirety of your army here. So the reason why I like the Gore-Grunter fur is because it's sort of a bright reddish brown. I think that works really well with the red and the gold of the Lannisters. And I only did that by testing out a couple of the browns on a couple of models that I have. Unfortunately off the screen, I really did wish I actually showed you before going into this. But you can see that doing that really gives you the confidence and making you fully commit to a decision rather than getting a few through and realizing it just doesn't work out. So you want to have one model that you take to near completion of what you want for your army scheme here, and I must say it's going to save you a lot of steps in the long run. So if anything you take away from this video is definitely do that. If you're coming up with basing schemes for your army, make sure you have a couple of infantry models that you can use. That way too, the reason why I use little just generic infantry models is that you don't even have to fix them up. You can just place them there, and if your basing scheme is very similar, it's not too much to just place in the army, and it sort of gets lost in the sea of models of all your basic infantry models. But if it's really drastic and needs changing, it's only one basic infantry model. So if you can't get that perfect color back or changing it close enough to what you want to, it's going to get sort of lost in the overall army and all that horde of miniatures that's on the table. So it's a lot easier to hide than if you make it a much more important character. So for the Starks, of course, I wanted a darker brown for this. This is almost like a blackish brown, very, very dark. So I have used another contrast paint here that fits my scheme entirely to what I wanted it to. And again, I did the same thing. I had you could actually see them on camera this time. There's two in the background that you can just see up by my hand there that are already painted up with the color I wanted to. One of them was a little bit lighter, and I wanted the darker one overall, and so I was much more happier with that. So I was able to gladly show you on this lot of miniatures that I did give a couple of test models with a couple of different colors that I was choosing between. Didn't know which one I was going with. Placed them on, let them dry, let them completely dry, so I could see the difference there. And I was happier with the darker one out of the two that I chose. Look, you probably can't tell on camera, which is good. So that means I don't even have to adjust it like I was saying for with you using it on a basic infantry model. You're not going to notice it amongst all the other models that once it's all painted up to look the same with the rest of the steps that we're going ahead with. So crucial to do a test model, a couple of test models. In my case I did two, and I was happy with what I got. But if you've got multiples of them, you know, you pick as many as you need to get it done. I wouldn't go too crazy with it. I would say you want no more than a maximum of, say, 5 ideas going around in your head. That's probably even a little too much, but if you can pick it down to about 5 ideas that you're tossing between, do them up to where you want them, and you can clearly see the vision that you have in your head for the models, and that'll definitely help you in finalizing and picking one, so you don't get too much of like too much going through your head and just becoming like paralyzed with, oh no, I don't know what sort of scheme I want to go with. So keep it as small as possible, and I'd say no more than 5 when you're picking your basing for your army is probably the best sort of range, I would say, to go with. But for me, it only took me 2 attempts, and same with the Lannister, it only took me 2 attempts as well to nail down exactly what I was after. Now comes to one of the fun stages, and this is applying your flocking, the major part of your basing here. So for this, I'm going to do it pretty much in nice, quick, rapid succession style, where I have a station set up for me so I can plow through these minis as fast as I can. So all I'm doing is going around, picking out areas. So I'm not going to do entirely everywhere on these bases with the nice green grass, because it's going to really contrast against those colors, and you know, the Lannisters are from the south, so I want a nice field. But what I'm doing is I'm sort of covering up maybe about 50%, maybe 75% at most worth of glue on there, and just haphazardly placing it around. I'm not going for it, trying to avoid any sort of uniformity in the way I'm doing any of these bases, so I'm not trying to repeat the same, so they all come out with these different arrangements of tufts of grass. Well, not really tufts of grass, but little pockets of grass on them that is unique pretty much to every one. Is I'm not trying to recreate, or just I'm dabbing on little blobs. I'm just going crazy, big smears, little smears. Some are getting nearly all coverage, some are getting you know, down to that like 40%, so I'm just varying it up between each one of them. And when it comes to the main characters here, so your leaders, so this is like your Cersei, your Tyrion, your Jaime Lannister, things like that, that's where I want to be more careful about where I want to place them, so you can get a good look at the models. But for basic infantry, I'm just going in here, so this is a nice easy scheme for me, but it's going to look super nice and effective here. So really just plowing through these one after the other. I think just doing it this way with these guys, it's just the fastest way I could do it, because I can quickly grab a handful, place it on, and it's already done, rather than going through 10 or 12 of these, because what you end up by doing is you're getting a lot of flocking everywhere. And I wish I had probably put my camera in a slightly better angle so you could see a little bit better, but that's why I have the ice cream container there, so all the mess goes right down into there. However, some of it still naturally ends up on the deck, so doing it one by one just saved a lot of mess entirely. So definitely think about that as you're basing up as well. As you can see, I've got my little things placed in the area, so I've got easy access to each one of them. I've got the glue there, I've got my area where all the flock can go onto, and it can just fall down into that ice cream container and avoid as much mess as possible. Plus, as soon as it builds up with a little too much in there, I can immediately grab it and recycle everything that's going in there. So everything is getting used to as much efficiency as I can at one time. So definitely try and plan that out with your assembly line if you can, and especially if you've got the space to. Okay, so rather than showing you the Stark half of the army, which is basically going to be the same thing over again until I get to the steps where I want it to, what I'm going to do is just quickly show you me touching up a couple of the miniatures that I have here. So there's only a couple I want to touch up. Jaime is one of them, and all I'm doing is I'm changing his cloak from the Kingsguard cloak color to a Lannister cloak color, because now I actually have a Kingsguard Jaime Lannister miniature, so I don't want to double up with that and make them different and unique. And this is part of when he is fully in the Lannister army before he gets captured by Robb Stark. So I wanted to reflect that by painting his cape in red. And the other miniature I wanted to touch up and paint up here is Sansa here. Now I really have matured more as a painter, so all I'm doing is I'm just trying to punch up her to more of a standard. Now I'm not changing it too much, I'm just adding a bit more color. So for what I'm doing here is I'm changing Sansa's hair color. I just felt the orange the red head that she was. It was just way too bright and distracting, so I'm just muting that down a lot. As well as that too, I'm going to go over her dress. I want to make that a little bit duller and more realistic. I just think I made Sansa just way too bright, so I wanted to just dull her down to try and tie her in with the rest of the miniatures that I have painted up. But with that, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go into some glamour shots. And there you have it, guys. There are the two armies completed, all nicely based up and placed on my display shelf. As well as that too, guys, as what I mentioned too, I also based up the movement trays as well. They're all placed on these movement trays for the game of Song of Ice and Fire. And once I placed them on before doing up the trays themselves, they just looked a little incomplete without those movement trays done up as well. So I'd highly recommend, if you have armies on movement trays, to base them up in the exact same scheme as well, if you have them easily set aside like these are for each army. So it doesn't matter to interchange them. If you're interchanging them, probably just keep them more generic or leave them blank. But Song of Ice and Fire requires movement trays for the actual game itself. So placing the basing on the movement trays as well really does help send it to that next level. So with all of that, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.